Today we'll be cutting a butterfly dress. A butterfly dress and a bubu. Something like what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a bubu with a slim sleeve. That's a style among so many other styles. But today I'm going to be teaching us a butterfly dress. Now this is going to be a short dress, not a long one. And the first thing you'll consider is the length. What's going to be the length of your butterfly dress? Is it going to be a full length? Is it going to be a short length, 3/4 length, whatever the length? What you do first is to know what the full length is going to be. Say we're going to have a length 40. This is the length you've taken is length 40. We are going to cut out 80 plus the hemming allowance. If the length is length 50, say it's going to be a full length, you're going to cut out 100 plus maybe 4 inches that you're going to use to hem the base. Whatever the length is that you measured, it's going to be times 2 plus the hemming allowance. Please take note of that. Now this one is just going to be a short butterfly dress. I have a length 70 here. So the whole length here is 70. And by the time I fold it into 2, I have 35. So 35 is the full length I have. Like this. This is the way it's going to rest on my body. It's going to be a short butterfly dress. So the whole length is 35. So out of this fabric, I'm going to cut out the fitting and then the drop of the sleeve. So after folding into 2, fold again, making a 4 fold, and then you lay. And the first thing you consider is the neck. It can be any kind of neck. It can be a V-neck, can be a round neck. We usually have a regular round neck. Now, you have to be careful when cutting this neck. It can be trickish. You know, it was folded into 4. So whatever you cut here is going to be like times 4. So you have to be careful, especially for the width. And for the width, for an average adult, I take 3. 3 is okay. And then that's for the width. Then for the length, I take 5 or 6. Here I'm going to take a 5. Remember, we are still going to tape it round. So it's going to be 3 by 5. Then curve it. This is the neck. Don't want a wide neck, just a very small neck. And then I want to shape out the body. The bust, the measurement I'm using for this one is a bust 45. A bust 45, a waist 40. Bust 45, a waist 40, and a hip 47. That's also important so that it won't be too fitted and the person will not be able to wear. You need to consider the bust, the waist, and the hip of that person. Now, to take the bust now from the neckline here, take 8. Remember, that's our bust line. And then the bust is going to be bust 45, which is 11.25. We are going to remember we divide every of our measurement by 4. So 45 is 11.25 plus, the little sewing allowance to make it free. That's for the but if I don't want it so fitted, you just decide whatever you want it to be. I want this one to be like a fitted gown and then just have stretches on the side. So I'm giving it a bust 45, which is 11.5. I'm going to give it just by 1 inch to sew in. And then my waistline is 16. And then my hip line, remember, is 24. I hope you remember all this. We treated all the measurements in our previous video. So the waist is waist 40. I'm going to take a waist 40, which is 10. And then I'm going to take, say, 1.5. I don't want it to be too tight on the waist area. And then connect it this way. And then my hip is 47. The hip I want here is 47, which is 11.75. 47 divided by 4, you have 11 3/4, and then give it say 1.5 inches or so. So by the time you connect this way, you have your actual measurement in here. So the rest is just the butterfly style. Remember, we are not chalking out any armhole. We are not chalking out any armhole. We are not cutting the hand. This forms the sleeve already. This forms the sleeve already. The armhole, everything is embedded inside. And another thing you need to consider is, because it's not a proper top, like where you slip in your hand, don't let your armhole be too close. So you need to bring it down a little. So instead of this 8, we're going to have something like 11, so that it's going to be a bit free. 8 should be the normal armhole measurement, but because I don't want it to be too tight here, I'm making it 11. So this is where my sewing is beginning from. This is it. Now I'll chalk this properly. Chalk it properly. I'm going to cut out the neck. Remember, this is the one we are taking, not 8 but 11. Chalk it properly. Now this is my butterfly cut already. But for me to, I already have one side chalked already. I need to trace it to the other side so that I will have even measurement. So I'll put it together this way instead of remeasuring. Remember, we are teaching simple methods. Instead of remeasuring, just fold it together. And that. Just follow that trace of chalk. So you will have it on the other side as well. So just trace it out again. It's better than remeasuring all over again. This way you have both accurate. So you have your butterfly top. So you sew that way down, you sew this way down, and then your dress is ready. Now, point to note before you finish up your butterfly dress. Now, firstly, unlike when we cut other kind of dress where we turn it to the back and chalk the back, for a butterfly dress, you are going to be cutting exactly where you are going to run your machine. That is the front, not the back this time around. So your measurement is going to be exactly on the front face of that fabric. That is very important, because you're going to run it like that, and then just straight running 1 and 2, and then that does it. That's for the secondly. Again, for the neck, is very important. If you want to have a neat finishing for the neck of this is what you use. This is called bias. This is bias fabric. Is a special fabric used in taping or hemming edges of fabric, whether the neck or the hand, depending on what you want to use it for, but especially the neck area, to have a neat finishing. So this is the color that goes, and matching color is also very important. So this is the color that I've chosen for this fabric. I'm going to be using my bias to turn. When you use the bias to turn the neck, it gives a very neat finishing. That is very important. Neat finishing. You're going to sew it round the neck, turn inside. It's not going to be outside. Show it says if you want to make it a style. It could be outside if you want to make it a style. Maybe you just want a yellow trimming, outside, but otherwise it just be tucked in. But it makes the finishing neater. This is called the cotton bias. There are two kinds. You also have the satin bias, but this is the cotton type. Cotton. By the time you're working with Ankara fabrics, it's always better to use the cotton bias. Then thirdly, when you're measuring, please consider that this dress doesn't have a zip. It usually doesn't have a zip, just like what I am wearing. It's a free wear. So you're going to be careful not to make it too tight. If that allowance you're adding, you consider that it's not going to make the wearing easy, please add more. Please add more. You can always reduce or increase it as the person wears it for fitting. It's better you have it free than having it too tight. That is also very important. So if your bust is say 40, for instance, give it like 4 inches. 4 inches is adequately okay, not to have a too fitted dress. Say if your waist is 36, you can give it say 4 inches. And if that 4 inches is too much, you can always bring it down, as long as you're able to wear it and then it fits. So this is our butterfly dress. It's an easy and ABC. You can practice it with your paper first, or if you are bold enough, go on your fabric and cut. The only thing you'll be cutting out is just the neck for this kind of butterfly dress.